What's up, everybody? Back with another breakdown, this time of rookie Joe Alt. We've seen some clips. We knew the matchup, him against Maxx Crosby against the Raiders defensive front, Christian Wilkins, what it was going to look like. Seems like he played a really good game. We're going to dive in here, look at the technique, look at some of the other things, the awareness, and see how he's really performing. So, again, these are just going to be passes, kind of took out the easy ones or the ones where nothing happens. You want to see him in, quote unquote, more normal pass situations and more stressed. So let's dive right in. All right, first play here, number 76, right tackle. You can see him spotlighted there. Just going to let it run full speed. Not much is happening on this play, but it's a under center, bit of a play action. You can see he and the right guard have that, we would call it a four tech, who's aligned directly over him, and the defensive end outside, who's getting chipped by the tight end. And the thing you like to see is Alt is holding space. He's not flying out of there. He's not worried about the speed. Whether 81 is designed to chip on this play, it looks like probably. Still good patience, good job helping the guard. In these alignments, they can run twists pretty easily. They can drop the end, and you got to take over that four tech, and you want the right guard to be able to get back to help the center. So really patient, helping out with the left hand, holding space, waiting for his guy. Again, not much of anything on this play except good awareness by Alt and also some good patience and help for the guard. So getting into the next play, again, 76 right tackle. Gonna run at full speed. Again, not much of anything on this play except, Herbert is sliding the line to the right. There's no one accounting for the guy off the edge. I'm not sure if maybe he thought number 9 was going to peel with the running back, but Alt is having to set down a 3 technique, and I will say for being, not much of anything and having a free runner that's able to get to the quarterback, this is actually really good by Alt. When you're going blocking down on 3 techniques, it could be really easy to do one of two things. One would be underset him a little bit, and the 3 technique would shoot up the field and kind of crease that inside B gap and get to the quarterback. And the other thing that would be extremely easy, especially when you're getting this type of rush by 94, is that you could go down too hard, worried about that guy shooting upfield, especially on a good player, and then he would be able to beat you outside in the C gap and then around the corner. That's happened to me before. That's happened to pretty much all tackles. And so with Alt here, you're seeing him in a stance, kind of flipping his hips a little bit to get in a good spot. And again, he's kind of attacking the outside half of the 3 technique. So he's allowing himself to be able to block both pathways. He's getting his hands on him. He's working for leverage. Again, really good rep for somewhat of a, kind of throwaway play with how quickly it developed. So good things right out of the gate from Alt. Moving on, play 3. Empty protection, so there's no back in the backfield. Nice little completion for Herbert. And again, an odd spacing front where you've got that 4 technique that's the defensive lineman head up on you directly, which we can see. It looks like the Chargers are blocking this with kind of 2-man sorts or slides on both sides. And like we saw in the first clip, Alt holding space, not really flying out of there. Of course, he doesn't really have anyone to fly out to, but his eyes are outside immediately. You can see, just in case that guy's coming. Now, he doesn't have to look at 94 directly. He can feel that guy rushing in the C gap, and because he hasn't taken too wide of a set, because he hasn't gone too far, he's able to now block him as the true defensive end, allow 79 to get back inside to solidify the middle of the pocket. And another good rep where Alt is throwing his hands in the appropriate spots, right arm going right above the 4 and the left hand coming in nicely, leverage, could just completely locked out. I mean, picture perfect from the offensive tackle. Next play. I don't know why it's playing a little slow, but that's okay. So this one, the running back's in on pass protection. Alt is aware enough to know 41's not his guy. He's pass setting the defensive end. He is getting chip help here on the defensive end. But again, the thing you're seeing is nice controlled pass sets. You're not seeing any panic. You're not seeing any worry. Good good positioning in terms of where he is relative to the quarterback. Now on this play, he does kind of throw the hands, but the guy gets into his chest. So you would like to see a little bit more pop from the hands, a little bit of lean, a little bit of catch. But he is a strong guy, and you can see how well he works towards leverage. right here off the bat, the first thing that's happening as that defender is getting into the chest is Alt is getting the hands, and then Alt's chest goes back, the legs work back into a leverage position, and at that point he's completely squared up. So even though the ball's out, gets a chip help, not much to see there. Another good rep. Moving on, finally, see some Maxx Crosby action. All right, let's break into this one. So he's on his own, does have the slide his way, so I don't exactly know how the Chargers do things, but theoretically you could be, using that guard help and setting a little bit deeper, which Alt isn't doing. You can see he's taking about the same set as he normally would. And this is where, to me, I've said a little bit on Twitter, he doesn't look quite as comfortable as he did at left tackle in college. I mean, this is a new position. This kind of pass set just doesn't look as comfortable to me, like moving in space, getting to a spot. Now, the production is there. He's obviously doing a great job. We're breaking it down, but just not as smooth as we've seen in college, which is understandable when you're switching positions. When you're top 5 pick at left tackle, you don't necessarily assume you're going to switch positions, so probably wasn't working a ton on right tackle coming out. But you can see the ball is 2 yards past the 50. So typically the offensive tackle wants to block, comfortably for the first 9 yards of the pocket up to 10 yards. And Alt is taking a set. Crosby kind of showing some hands there, which maybe Alt is seeing and reacting to and not throwing the hands immediately. He is throwing the hand, and what I would say is one, his hips are kind of flipped in an awkward manner. This is where I get into his comfortability at right tackle. And his hips are more open towards his own end zone than towards the one they're trying to score at. So not exactly what you would want to see. You would want, one more kick kind of on that body angle, but that right leg is opening up. And I think he's feeling a little bit of cornering. He is throwing the hands, a little bit lunged, a little bit leaned, which is why Crosby is able to kind of swipe it there. But because Alt is so big, because he's in a pretty good spot, because he's a good athlete at the top of the pocket, that little shove right there, Crosby's feet are at 10 yards. As an offensive tackle, that's pretty much what you're looking for. You want the feet at 10 yards or deeper. And Herbert is not deep on this play at all. Herbert's sitting at 8 yards, a pretty calm 3-step drop from shotgun, and then he's surveying the field. But he's not really feeling Crosby at all. There's a chance if he holds on to it really late that Crosby could get there, but this is a win for the tackle. I mean, Herbert's waiting, gets to his shot. So a good rep, the first one against Crosby, and I think a little bit uncomfortable looking just because he's not used to those true pass sets at right tackle, but the production's there. He's blocking, 10 yards at the top of the pocket. He's throwing his hands. He's finishing with his feet up the field. A lot of good stuff. Another rep against Crosby here. And this one's better. This one's a little bit cleaner. And, maybe he could have learned from that first one, learned the speed, maybe realizes that he needs to get slightly deeper. A little bit false start from the right guard there. But you do have a slide coming your way. And so Alt knows, 39's taken care of by the guard there, so he can focus on Crosby. And he's taking a set. He's getting a little deeper than he was before. 1, 2, 3 kicks, 4 kicks. Now, he is opening up like we talked about, which I don't necessarily love. You'd like to see him a little bit squarer at the contact point. But he's throwing that right hand, throwing the left hand. You can see a little bit of chin music, which maybe was influenced by Crosby, probably not. I think Alt's just a tall dude, and it's hard to actually punch guys in the chest consistently. But he's landing the hands, good punch. And what you like to see right there, this is a bit more clean than the previous rep. That left hand is trying to work for some leverage there. He's able to run Crosby by, and different than the last rep, he's still squared up on Crosby. So you talk about as an offensive lineman, always being between your man and the ball carrier, in this case the quarterback, between Crosby and Herbert, between Crosby and Herbert, still between Crosby and Herbert. And the ball in this case is snapped right on the yard line. And so Herbert drops to 10. Herbert's right foot is at 10. Then he hitches up. And going back. And on this play, Alt is getting Crosby to 11 yards. And he's completely squared up. So this is a really nice rep. Herbert's able to comfortably get the ball out. Moving on. Bit of a play action here. So we got Alt on the right side, kind of a full sell to the left, and then Herbert's turning around. So as the right tackle, you have to understand where your quarterback is. On these types of plays, sometimes it is in the original, right A gap, right B gap, which is pretty much where you start. On this play, Herbert is extending and pulling up on the left side A or B gap. So that right tackle has a lot of distance to cover. And like we talked about in one of the earlier plays where he was blocking down on the 3 technique, this is a tough block. This is one that I didn't necessarily love because if you completely sell out on the defensive tackle, and you can see in this case 94 is jetting into the B gap, kind of throwing his shoulder. If you oversell on that, it's really easy for the defensive tackle to spin out and to kind of throw you around. So this is one that you have to be measured. You have to completely seal off that inside, which we see Alt doing a really nice job of here. He's able to use his feet, run the defender a little bit flatter. Herbert is not having to alter where he is in the pocket because of what Alt is doing. So he's getting some good flattening on 94. And because of his positioning here, 94 isn't feeling like he can spin out. He's not feeling like there's a counter move on the opposite side. So again, good strength, good leverage, good job running the feet, and good job protecting for the quarterback. Next play, empty protection, another one against Crosby. This is a move that Crosby's really good at. And so he knows that, as the running backs go into motion, it's empty protection. I would say on this one, Alt is slightly late. Pretty much everyone's late on the O-line. This is an atypical cadence in terms of how quickly he's having to snap it. I think because they're timing the running back motion, he's not doing, his kind of full cadence. So everyone's a little bit behind, and Crosby's the first one moving, which is an uncomfortable feeling for the offensive tackle. But I think Alt's still taking a good set. He's not like flying out of there. I would just say the angle gets a little bit distorted. We talk about being between your man and the quarterback. You can see on this one, if you draw a straight line from Crosby to Herbert, Alt is slightly outside of it. And I think that's what Crosby's feeling off the bat. That's why he thinks he can go inside with an inside move. Alt is kind of throwing the hands. That left hand's trying to work. Crosby, you can see the right arm. He's trying to either get Alt's left arm collapsed or Alt's left shoulder collapsed so he can have a clear shot. And he does look like he gets Alt's left arm. You can see his left hand sticking out to the left of Crosby. But the body positioning, the balance, being able to flatten it off is really good. It's really good. And Herbert's in the pocket. He's standing there. The ball is being delivered. Crosby loves hitting quarterbacks. He's not able to get to the quarterback. If Herbert did have to stay in the pocket, maybe he'd shift very slightly to the right. But I think this is really good protection. It does look like it could be a design stunt with 98 and 94 because Wilkins there is holding up the guard and then coming around. So maybe it wasn't exactly Crosby feeling Alt there. But either way, one that maybe in full speed doesn't look as clean. I'm going to let it run. It looks like, maybe Crosby got the inside. But when you're breaking it down and you're seeing, again, Alt's length, his ability to run his feet, flattening Crosby off, and really not having Herbert be affected in the pocket, I think that's another pretty good rep from him. Another pass play. It's hard to tell if it's going to be a running back screen. Looks like he's kind of coming out like it might be. But offensive line, hard to tell what they're doing. A little bit of trouble on the left side on the twist there. But we're looking at Alt. Another clean set. I would still think that, that right knee, when I'm seeing that initial kick, the way it's kind of coming out, I would like to see the right knee in a little bit. I think it would keep his hips a little bit square. Just a personal preference thing and the way the body works in a pass set. But Alt is, I think, seeing a chop there from 97. We haven't really seen his arms go outside like that, which I would consider to be a bit of a circle punch with your arms circling around and then punching. But I think this is really good awareness, feeling a chop move from 97, not wanting to throw that right arm in particular and get it chopped. So a bit of a circle punch, gets the hands on 97, maybe very slightly turned and behind him. We've seen that a few times now, just trying to understand where he is in the pocket, what his body is looking like. an offensive line mantra: stay as square as you can, as long as you can. But he gets the arms and hands on him, gives him a nice shove up the field. Again, still in really good body positioning. He's got his guy more than 10 yards up the field, and the defensive end is kind of giving up on the play. Herbert just happens to get smacked from Crosby on the other side. But another really, really nice rep from Alt. Next play, shotgun, 3-point stance. And again, great protection. So he's taking a traditional pass set from 3-point stance. You can see he's, again, coming from the outside on the hands a little bit. I would say that right foot keeps getting dropped. The hips keep getting a little bit too opened. But in terms of getting the hands on the defender and then boom, sitting it down, boom, play's over right there. I mean, completely over. That's a leverage move. That's the hands lifting. Crosby maybe feeling the pump fake from Herbert a little bit, but I don't think that's affecting what's happening on this rush. I think this is a clean win for Alt. Hands on. You can see the length. Crosby's able to get his hands on Alt first, and Alt is still able to get the hands on the shoulders, lift, sit it down. I mean, that's the picture perfect offensive line positioning right there. Maybe aided a little bit by the old pump fake, but I think Alt's getting to that position regardless. Again, just really nice stuff. We got the last clip of the first half. Again, great protection. I mean, you've got a kind of walk-up look. You can consider this. I wouldn't necessarily say it's double A gap, but the spacing, everyone's in all the gaps. You do have the running back here in on protection, so there's no sift. There's no responsibility for Alt to have to block number 5. He's blocking Crosby, but it is down in the red zone. Crosby is a little bit tighter. And again, this is the awareness that I'm seeing from Alt, understanding his pass sets, not flying out of there. He's taking a couple kicks, but he's barely moving. I mean, he's tempering that pass set down. We talked about that intersection point that, Crosby's pretty much already right there. Alt doesn't have to go any further. You do see a little bit of lean, that left foot going back from Alt, which I would kind of put into the old left tackle category of maybe, his body likes to be in that left tackle stance, which he's getting to right there. And it does look like Crosby's chopping the arms. But again, Alt is able to get back to balance, get back to position, passes him off thinking maybe it's a twist, maybe someone's coming. Nobody is. Just kind of keeps working to wad up the pocket, redirects on Crosby's spin move, chasing him down, trying to protect his quarterback. Really nice stuff. I mean, this is a tremendous first half in pass protection. There's nothing that's really even sniffing a true pressure or quarterback hit or anything of the nature. You saw, his first pass rep against Crosby, maybe a little underset, a little open. Then you saw the next one, fixed it, gets a little bit deeper, uses the hands a little bit better. So he's learning as the game's progressing. He's already got great awareness. He's already got a really nice feel for some subtle, pass set techniques, for some subtle maneuvering when he's blocking down on 3 or 4 techniques. So a promising first half, and tune in for the second half where we're going to break that down as well.